The book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari is a thoughtful exploration of the challenges, fears, and hopes of our modern world. It does not take us back into the deep past like his book Sapiens, nor does it imagine the far future like Homo Deus. Instead, it holds a mirror to our own time and asks us to see what is happening right now, what dangers we are facing, and what decisions we must take to build a better future. Harari's style is both wise and accessible. He does not speak like a distant philosopher who only theorizes. Instead, he speaks like a guide who walks beside us, making us pause, look around, and reflect. The introduction of the book sets the tone by asking us to notice the uncertainty of the world in which we live. In the past, people believed in strong narratives, religion, nationalism, socialism, liberalism, that gave meaning and order to their lives. But now, in the 21st century, these big stories are either crumbling or being challenged. Technology is advancing so fast that no one knows where it will lead, politics is unstable, societies are divided, and people are often confused about truth and lies. Harari reminds us that while our ancestors worried about survival, war, and famine, we today are often more threatened by our own human-made systems, data, algorithms, nuclear weapons, or fake news. The central question becomes, how can we find clarity, responsibility, and wisdom in such a world? One of the most important themes in the book is the rise of technology and artificial intelligence. Harari explains that for most of history, humans believed they had a special role in the universe. They were the only ones with intelligence, emotions, and souls. But now machines are beginning to challenge this unique position. Algorithms can know us better than we know ourselves. For example, a computer might know what we want to buy before we even realize it. It might predict who we will fall in love with, or decide whether we deserve a loan or a job. This raises deep questions. If machines become better at making decisions, what role is left for humans? Will we lose not only our jobs but also our sense of meaning? The economic system is also at risk of being shaken by this technological revolution. In the past, people moved from farms to factories, then from factories to offices. But in the future, many jobs might disappear altogether, not just shift from one place to another. A driverless car might replace taxi drivers, artificial intelligence might replace doctors in diagnosing illnesses, and automated systems might replace teachers in giving lessons. Harari warns that for the first time in history, we may see a useless class. Millions of people who have no role in the economy because machines are doing the work better and cheaper. This is not just a question of money but of dignity. Work has always given people purpose and structure, and without it, societies could face depression, anger, and unrest. Along with economics comes politics. Harari is deeply concerned about how nations will handle these changes. In the 20th century, politics was built on the promise that governments could protect their people by controlling borders, industries, and armies. But now, technology and global challenges cross all borders. A virus in one country can travel the world in weeks, as we saw with COVID-19. Pollution from one factory can affect the climate everywhere. Data is flowing freely across continents. No single country, no matter how powerful, can solve these problems alone. This makes nationalism weaker as a tool, but at the same time, we see nationalism rising again in many places, with leaders promising to make their countries great again. Harari warns that this is dangerous because no nation can isolate itself from global issues like climate change, cyber warfare, or biotechnology. Religion, too, is questioned in this new world. For centuries, religion gave humans answers about good and evil, right and wrong, and what it means to be human. But now science is challenging many of those answers. For example, religion said humans were created in a special way, but biology shows we evolved like other animals. Religion said only God could create life, but now scientists are creating new life forms in laboratories. At the same time, Harari acknowledges that religion is not disappearing. It still gives many people comfort, community, and identity. The danger is not that religion will vanish, but that it may be used in harmful ways, fueling hatred, violence, or separation between groups. Another strong theme is the crisis of truth. In today's world, people are drowning in information. Social media, news outlets, blogs, and videos constantly bombard us with messages. But instead of giving clarity, this often creates confusion. Fake news spreads faster than real news, because lies are often more exciting and emotional. People tend to believe stories that fit their feelings rather than those based on evidence. Harari shows how dangerous this can be for democracy, because if citizens cannot tell truth from lies, they cannot make wise decisions. The solution, he suggests, is not censorship but education. Teaching people how to think critically, how to doubt, how to check sources, and how to resist manipulation. Amid all these challenges, Harari also speaks about human fears. Terrorism, for example, is often exaggerated in people's minds. Terrorists cannot destroy a country, but they can make people so fearful that governments overreact and damage their own societies. Harari explains that terrorism is really about theater. It tries to make a small group seem much more powerful than it really is. By spreading fear, terrorists manipulate the imagination of millions. This lesson is important because it teaches us not to let fear control our actions, whether the fear comes from terrorists, politicians, or media. War is another subject. Harari notes that while humans have fought for thousands of years, the world today is surprisingly peaceful compared to the past. Great powers do not want to fight each other directly, because nuclear weapons make it suicidal. This is perhaps the first time in history when it is safer to be a human than ever before. Yet peace is fragile. If countries misuse technology or fall into rivalry, war could return in devastating forms. Cyber wars could disrupt entire economies without a single bullet being fired, and bioweapons could be more deadly than nuclear bombs. Climate change and environmental destruction form another central concern. Harari reminds us that while we may build artificial intelligence or colonize space, our survival still depends on basic natural systems like clean air, water, soil, and a stable climate. If we fail to protect these, our technology will not save us. The problem is not lack of knowledge. Scientists know what must be done, but lack of cooperation and political will. People often prefer short-term profit over long-term survival. This is one of the greatest tests of human wisdom in the 21st century. Amid these global dangers, Harari also turns his attention to the individual. What should a person do in such a confusing time? He suggests that clarity and resilience are more important than ever. Since no one can predict the future, the best education is not learning a fixed set of skills, but learning how to learn. Flexibility, critical thinking, emotional balance, and creativity will matter more than memorizing facts. The world is changing too fast for one profession or one ideology to be enough. He also talks about the need for self-understanding. As algorithms learn more about us, we must also learn about ourselves. Otherwise, we may become puppets in the hands of corporations and governments. Meditation and mindfulness, for example, can help us observe our own minds, notice our emotions, and understand how we are influenced. This is not about escaping the world, but about gaining strength to live in it wisely. Harari himself practices meditation, and credits it with giving him clarity in writing his books. Another powerful message is about responsibility. In the past, people could blame kings, priests, or fate for their problems. Today, each of us has more power than ever before, especially through the internet. We can spread knowledge, kindness, or lies with just a click. The choices we make daily, what we buy, what we post, what we support, shape the world. Harari does not give easy answers, but he calls for awareness and maturity. The future is not decided by technology alone, but by how humans use it. In many places, the book touches on the search for meaning. Humans have always needed stories to give them purpose. In the past, religion or nationalism provided that. But as those lose power, many people feel empty. Some turn to consumerism, trying to find happiness in shopping, travel, or entertainment. But Harari warns that this is shallow and unsatisfying. Real meaning must come from awareness, compassion, and responsibility. He does not dictate what the meaning of life is, but he suggests that by understanding our minds, caring for others, and engaging with truth, we can live meaningful lives even in uncertain times. The book closes on a humble but powerful note. Harari does not pretend to know the future. He admits that we are entering uncharted territory, and anyone who claims to have all the answers should be questioned. But what he offers is wisdom, the ability to ask the right questions, to stay calm in the face of fear, to connect with others across borders, and to keep learning. The 21st century will bring challenges greater than humanity has ever faced, but also opportunities for cooperation, growth, and enlightenment. If we act wisely, we can not only survive but thrive. In simple words, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century is both a warning and a guide. It warns us of the dangers of blindly trusting technology, nationalism, or consumerism. It warns us of the traps of fear, lies, and hatred. But it also guides us toward clarity, responsibility, and humanity. It tells us that the world is changing, but the most important skill is not to predict the future. It is to remain adaptable, compassionate, and aware. The book leaves readers with a sense of responsibility, but also hope. The 21st century is uncertain, but within that uncertainty lies the power of human choice. If we choose wisely, we may build a world that is not only safer but more just and meaningful than the one we inherited.